I'm a huge fan of Star Trek, the original series, and The Next Generation, and I consider these TV series a sort of guiding stars for me, carrying all my main values and passions in life. Star Trek is all about collaboration and co-creation involving all the different nations and species, and I believe it has a lot to teach us about how to conduct collaborative research projects. And I want to talk about these lessons from Star Trek today. And I will be talking about lessons from The Next Generation, as I've been watching this series recently, and I have gathered 7 different lessons based on various situations the team of the Starship Enterprise faced during their space exploration. So let's start. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa and I've been working for years on organizing collaborative university competitions for world well-known companies to solve their extreme innovation challenges, and now I continue my journey with the goal to foster innovation by helping different parties of the innovation process collaborate and co-create. On this channel, I explore collaboration projects for innovation management, share my experience in managing these projects and processes, and uncover strategies for making collaboration efforts more effective. And the first lesson I want to talk about sounds like suspicions destroy us and our relationships. This lesson comes from Season 3, Episode 18, called Allegiance. In this episode, Captain Picard is abducted and held prisoner together with 3 other characters. They have to work together to escape from the cell. At one point, they all start pointing at each other and accusing one another of being a mole. They suspect each other of being a double agent. Then Captain Picard realizes that this doesn't really help them to escape because all they do is blame each other and fight. So he suggests they stop and wonders whether they should allow their suspicions to destroy them. He mentioned that if they don't trust one another, they have no hope of escape. And this is indeed true for any collaborative project. When you work on an open innovation project, you still have to protect your own knowledge and interest while working with other teams, with other organizations, with your partners, with people you have never worked before. And of course, the fact that you might be collaborating with someone you have no prior collaboration history with makes it quite difficult to trust them. And this can, of course, create a suspicious attitude towards your partners, especially if something in the project goes wrong. And let me be real, in innovation projects, as you might know, quite often something goes wrong. But suspicion never helps to achieve the goal. It's kind of a slippery slope. Once you go there, it's very difficult to stop and start trusting each other again. Moreover, it won't help you with the project. It never does. You won't work more effectively. Quite the opposite, actually. So once you start working together, accept that you have to trust your partners. Obviously, we should provide the necessary legal framework to protect our companies, our interests and knowledge, and we shouldn't ignore undeniable facts of sabotage or negligence. But if your suspicions are not based on real facts, it's better to abandon them. Lesson number 2 is about collaboration via fighting the common enemy, and this lesson comes from Season 5, Episode 2, Damak. Obviously, I can't skip this episode because I believe this is a great lesson for any collaborative research, collaborative innovation projects. And we are talking about Captain Picard and Dathan, the captain of the alien Tamarian ship, who end up on a planet together while trying to establish communication between their species, and it is very difficult for them to understand each other because the Temerians apparently use allegories to speak and express their feelings. For example, to explain what is going to happen on the planet, Dathan uses the expression Damak and Jalad at Tanagra, referring to their old tale where two heroes had to unite to fight a dangerous beast. Picard and Dathan indeed have to work together to do the same thing, fight the beast on the planet's surface. And unfortunately, during the battle, Dathan is severely wounded. However, the captains eventually understand each other. They find a way to communicate because both are willing to do so. They are willing to find this common ground. They're willing to understand each other. And this episode gives us at least two lessons on collaboration. And first of all, we are talking about uniting to fight a common enemy, of course. And I'm not asking you to find a person or even a company to act against. But here, I believe the problem that you are trying to solve with your collaboration efforts can be that enemy. And though in collaborative research projects, you might need to work with another organization that is very difficult to understand due to their different goals or even some cultural discrepancies, sometimes it might even seem like you're speaking two very different languages, just like Captain Picard and Captain Dathan, but uniting to solve the problem can help you understand each other better. And of course, the second lesson is that you must be willing to understand each other. Without intent, it would be very difficult to find common ground and succeed, and I know it for sure. So this should come from both partners. You need to actually you must want to understand one another to solve this problem. The next lesson I want to talk about is that unification or true collaboration cannot be achieved by diplomacy or politics. And this lesson comes from season 5, episode 8, which is called Unification Part 2. Who doesn't like Spock? I bet there are very few such people exist, so I can't skip the episodes where we see Leonard Nimoy portraying Ambassador Spock. And this particular episode number 8, gives us a very good lesson for collaborative open innovation projects at the very end of it. Now, unification and these two episodes in general are about attempts to unite two feuding species, Romulans and Vulcans, who share a common ancestry. Ambassador Spock, representing the Vulcans, visits Romulus on this very special mission. The attempt to reconcile fails. However, Spock refuses to leave Romulus with Captain Picard because he believes he is needed on the planet to propagate the idea of unification among Romulans. And he says something very important. He says that unification cannot be achieved through politics or diplomacy, but through continuous education about each other cultures and simple conversations with people. That's what Spock has been doing, and that's what he plans to continue doing. And though collaborative research projects are not exactly about unification, well, some sort of unification, but not exactly, I believe this lesson is extremely valuable for innovation managers. You, of course, can have an official company policy for open innovation, and you can have some special programs and incubators and different projects. However, what is really important is establishing contact outside of corporate meeting rooms. Open innovation, in my opinion, is not only about rules and methods, though they are very important, of course, but it's about talking to people, something that actually Dr. Rolf Albach also mentioned in his interview. It is extremely important to have informal conversations with your collaboration partners, and not only partners but other entities in general. It is important to learn more about them, about their corporate culture, and even about their personal values. It is important to share your perspectives and visions with them, because this is how you start trusting each other, and this is how your project gets a higher chance of success. Lesson number 4, and it's about starting a smaller research project together. And this lesson comes from season 1, episode 5, which is called The Last Outpost. In this episode, we meet the Ferengi for the very first time, and from what we can see, they are not very reliable aliens. They can't be trusted, and they always pursue their own commercial interests. There is an interesting moment in this episode that can give us a hint for collaborative research projects. When the power drains occurs on both the Enterprise and the Ferengi vessel, Captain Picard suggests investigating the planet near which they met, and he offers the Ferengi captain to do it together. Both species don't really trust each other. This is their very first encounter, but Captain Picard sees an opportunity to do this small research project together and develop their relationship and their communication. I have already mentioned this episode in one of my previous videos, and I just want to repeat that in real life, you obviously don't need to do a project together with a team you don't trust at all. It's always better to work with someone who seems to be a reliable partner. Like, for real, don't do this in real life. However, even when you meet the team for the first time and you kind of trust them, you have this gut feeling that they're reliable, it's not always easy to assess how really trustworthy they are. And often there is no way to check until you actually do a project together. But I believe what you can do is to start with something small, maybe with initial research. That might give you an understanding on whether you can rely on your new partner or it's better to stop your collaboration. The next lesson I want to mention is the solution can be found in adjacent areas which you might overlook. And this lesson comes from season 5, episode 13, which is called The Masterpiece Society. This episode teaches us about another thing I talk a lot about, and another thing that you can get during open innovation projects when you work with other organizations. And I'm talking about finding a solution for your innovation problem using knowledge and technologies from adjacent areas. Now, in this episode, the team of the Enterprise has to save the planet from a stellar fragment. There is a human colony on this planet that represents a perfect society that consists of humans bred using genetic engineering, so they don't have people with disabilities, And having someone like Chief Engineer Geordi LaForge, who is blind and uses a device called a visor instead of his human eyes to see the world, is just unimaginable for them. They don't have such people at all. But the solution to this stellar fragment problem that might destroy their planet entirely was found when Geordi collaborated with Hannah Bates, the planet's scientist. And Geordi's visor technology is exactly what made the solution possible. And that's what we might often see with real-life innovations, because technologies used for other applications can be used to solve our problems in our areas, and sometimes these solutions are very unexpected, just like you would never imagine a visor's technology being used to help move the fragment away from the planet. A very interesting point about this episode is that there was no way for people on the planet to actually find the solution simply because they had no people like Geordi in their society. They didn't need a solution to his problem. until they actually needed it. And this is just another reason for companies to use open innovation. Your internal team simply might not be aware of the technology because there are no people who use it. And this is completely normal because your business is focused on a certain field, on a certain application, and you can't spread your efforts across all the different areas. But again, you can collaborate with other organizations that might already have a solution to your problem. Oh, and just one more thing, the idea to use the visor was discovered during a casual conversation between Jordi and Hannah. One more reason to have some time out of the meeting rooms and laboratories and just talk. We should give up this self-importance to successfully collaborate. And this is another lesson that I really, really love. And it comes from season 4, episode 5, which is called First Contact. In this episode, the Enterprise crew has to establish their first contact with a race from Malkor 3 that is about to develop warp speed, which will allow them to travel through the universe. And what can this episode teach us about collaboration? The team of the Enterprise is trying to collaborate with people on the planet, yet their attempts are not successful. The government of Malkor 3 is hesitant to establish this connection, and the main reason for that is people's belief that they are the center of the universe. It is very difficult for them to accept that they are only one of many species. Eventually, after a number of negotiation attempts, Chancellor Durkin from Malkor 3 says that their people are not yet ready to face the fact that they are not alone in the universe, and that this fact might destroy their society. And he says that they need to give up their self-importance to be able to successfully connect with other species. And this, I believe, is an extremely valuable lesson for everyone involved in collaborative research projects. In projects that I managed, I've seen people who brought their egos, and it never helped. It only limited them and impeded the whole process. It is especially dangerous when an internal expert team or decision makers demonstrate such behavior, because it jeopardizes the success of the project. They can make certain choices and pursue totally wrong solutions, or behave in a way that would just scare away partners. So yes, we definitely need to give up this self-importance to be able to successfully work on open innovation projects. And lesson number 7, some challenges cannot be solved without co-creation. And this lesson comes from season 6, episode 20, which is called The Chase. The last lesson that I want to mention in this video is about the importance of collaboration in general. In this episode, 4 competing expeditions, the Federation, Klingons, Cardassians, and Romulans are trying to solve a genetic puzzle. Each of them possesses a piece of the puzzle, and only by combining at least 3 of them, they are able to get closer to solving the mystery. So instead of competing, they have to collaborate. And there are so many unresolved scientific issues that we face. Many of them are very important to solve, and many of them can be solved only via collaboration because they are so complex and they require the involvement of experts from all the different fields. So we must work together. And there are, of course, many more lessons about collaboration in Star Trek, because the whole series is basically about collaboration and unification. The characters of the series teach us to look for the smallest details or similarities to successfully negotiate and collaborate, to make each party listen to each other, to turn disadvantages into advantages, to exchange employees, and many more different things. And Though Star Trek is obviously only science fiction, analogies can easily be found in real life, in real open innovation projects. And I just hope that this video was a little bit fun for you and a little bit educational as well. And I wish you good luck with your collaborative research, collaborative innovation projects. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. By the way, if you have any questions or comments, just please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, or feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to talk to you. And yeah, hope to see you next time, and have a good one. Bye!